We're good to go, sir.
Thank you. Just a minute. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. And it's my pleasure to be able to welcome all of us to the last episode of TECHBIZ for the year 2023. It's the 105th episode of TECHBIZ. And it's a pleasure to be able to bringing this to you wherever you may be, any part of the world. My name is Victor Bingafolabi. I'm the founder of Eco Innovation Center. And I'm excited to be spending the next hour with every one of us. And thank you for keeping deal with us. TECHBIZ is one of the platforms powered by Eco Innovation Center, where we seek to fulfill our mission, which is helping startups, ventures to scale up and commercialize. Eco Innovation Center happens to be an incubator and an accelerator, which means we transverse working from an ideation stage to taking startups and companies and small organizations from an ideation stage to a stage where they begin to earn revenue and they're commercially viable. Eco Innovation Center is located at 50 Awolowo Road here in Lagos, but again, we offer services and support across different parts of Africa, basically. And so I'm excited to be having us today. And TECHBIZ in the last 105 episodes has dealt with different topics and have brought in several subject matter experts to this platform to share with us on things and topics that should help startups to gain knowledge and gain the capacity and the insight to be able to scale their businesses. We've worked on people working on done conversations around how to scale your business, how to grow your products, done things around branding. We've done things around business model canvas, around contracts and term sheets. We've taken things around how do you grow your intellectual property and how do you protect same, and every topic. And I think you'll find it quite useful should you have the time, especially over a period like this holiday. Should you have the time, feel free to go to our website at www.ecoicenter.com/webinar. My colleagues will be dropping the link. It's ecoicenter.com/webinar. That's where you will find the 104th episode of TECHBIZ that we've had over the years with 104 different facilitators who have shared from their wealth of experience, and you can feel free to go in there to just listen through and see a few of the recordings. I know some of them have been turned into podcasts by my fantastic team, and so they will also drop the link for the podcast. Feel free to just go back and play back the podcast and see if there's something to learn. And should you have questions, we also have a community of over 3,000 people thereabout on WhatsApp and on Telegram. My colleagues are also dropping the link. Ayobalato and the rest are dropping the link for the people who are on now. So first is the link that takes you to Tito and my colleagues. Can you drop the link first for that helps people to go and see where we have the recordings, the 104 recordings. Please drop it into the chat room so that people can just go check that out and feel free to, go through that. Should you want to also be a part of the community where you can be able to basically ask questions. Many of the facilitators over the last 104 episodes are a part of it. Quite a number of people who are subject matter experts in their field of interest are also a part of it. So you want to be a part of this community. feel free to also join that. My colleagues also drop in the link to be able to access and be a part of the community where we share information about what we're doing. We share information about what's happening in the world of technology, the world of startups, and then we can provide the right support for you. Okay, so I think those are two quite informations. And I see on the screen before we start TechBiz today, again today it's the last TechBiz for the year, and by tradition we basically try to make it a knowledge sharing session where it's more around question and answers, and you're just asking as many questions as you choose, and we're trying to answer not only for myself but for every other person on the call. We try to answer your questions, your concerns, worried as we go into a new year, whatever it is. That's what this is about. So if you're in the music and entertainment business, we'll call it a freestyle, but we decided that that's by tradition, that's how we end the year on year. So I will jump into that in a few minutes. Okay, but again, I see that if you look at the screen, there's a session that Eco Innovation Center is having, and I will be hosting that session on the 13th of January. It's a physical session where we want to be able to do a workshop. Walk through people through how to plan the year. So most of the work I do with startups, and if you check what Eco Innovation Center has done over the years, I think we've had close to over 120 startups, if not more. My colleagues can correct me if I'm wrong, pass through our incubation and acceleration programs. I've had the opportunity of mentoring quite a number of startups, and I still sit and mentor quite a lot. And I found that one of the things that seems to be missing is ability to strategically plan, especially when you have high level of uncertainty like you have in now. I know quite a number of founders have significant amount of palpitation. I used to be there. You're wondering what's the year going to look like? How am I going to survive? My costs seem to be wiping me out. There's FX issues. There's all manners of moving parts that you have to deal with as a startup. But one of the things I've seen over the years that's helped our portfolio of businesses, that's helped us grow, that's helped us scale. Earlier today, I had a session with one of our founders who we've invested in the last 6 years, and remarkable. They've grown by over 1,000% thereabout in the last 6 years. They're doing huge amount of numbers, and when he was sharing the numbers with me today, it was mind-boggling. This is what people ordinarily were doing like 15 years thereabout. I'm talking of a business who moves from a revenue base of 40 million ending the year 2017. Revenues of 40 million naira, but we're talking about a revenue base of 4 billion naira at the end of 2023. So that's like 100,000% x 100 or something that they've done, and that's the number. So when you look at that, between 6 years thereabout, between 2018 and 2023, they moved from a 40 million naira revenue to doing a 4 billion naira revenue. Okay, and they moved from 4 people who were in the business, and today they are about close to 100 people working in the business, and then the renewable energy space. And such conversation, just creates a lot of excitement, makes us know that there's something we're doing. And what I'm trying to do on the January 13th is to put together some of the proprietary planning tools coming from experience we've gathered over the years, we've used to plan, to help our venture scale up, to help us weather the storm, to make us be a bit more resilient. I've tried to put those tools together, and then in a workshop style, we will help founders. And that's why it's very limited to us, because we need to be able to work with every founder as they walk through their plans. It's a 5 to 6 page proprietary document that will help you plan. And it's going to start from you being able to future cast what the year is going to look like. You do some scenario planning, and then you look at it from a global to a macro to an industry level. And then you look at what are the key business drivers of your sector. Then you're able to look at what your strategic direction should be. And then you move that quickly into your house that determines what are your key priorities for the year. Then you move to how that becomes your model canvas, and you can see where your revenue streams are. And then from there, you go into looking at the verticals where you expect your revenues, and then you end with an OKR. Okay, so it's how we help people walk through that minimizes the amount of surprises that they expect. And we want to spend time on January the 13th for 4 hours to work with very few founders. You need to be a founder because you need to you need to be able to own your stuff, if you know what I mean. You need to be able to make that decision. You need to be responsible for the planning, and that's what we want to do on the 13th of Saturday, 13th of January. Again, because we've seen this work, we've seen it create huge acceleration for quite a number of the startups in our portfolio, and we think it's time we also make other people benefit and see how we can help startups scale in a period of uncertainty like we do have now. It's scary globally, okay? But again, despite all that, how do you navigate? How do you navigate? And it's always being able to conquer the world by standing on the shoulder of giants, and that's what this is about. So thank you very much, and I do look forward to hosting 10-15 of us in our physical location. It's a physical event, the physical location in Awolowo, on 10th Awolowo Road in Ikoyi here in Lagos, between 10 and 2 p.m. On Saturday the 13th. So, but you need to register for this because we need to plan the tools, plan the flip charts, plan the sitting arrangement. It requires a lot of planning because we need to make sure that every founder that is seated in there is able to sit and plan out what their year should be. You're basically going to be able to exit that place with a 6-pager document that allows you to a large extent be foolproof and extremely set to enter and navigate a very turbulent year like is forecasted for 2024. That's what this is about, okay? And I look forward to hosting us, okay? We'll personally work in each one. So, Bola, so thanks. So I have a couple of slides, 3-4 slides I want to run us through as an icebreaker, and then I'll take questions, okay? I'm obsessed about wanting to help startups scale. I'm obsessed about that. I think the more we scale, the more our startups have impact. So, okay, am I able to share my screen? What's happening here? Okay. So, but let's do. I'm okay. I'm trying to wonder what's happening here. Am I?
It's coming up. Just give it a minute.
Okay, sorry about that. Wanted to be sure. Your screen sharing is paused. It says it's paused. I'm wondering why. What's happening here? Are we good?
Not yet.
Okay. What do I do? Let me stop sharing, and then I try to share again and see if this works. Okay. Any luck? Or do you want to try from your end? I can stop sharing and then you just resume share. Let me see. Is this better now?
Yes, we're good.
Very good or partially good?
Very good. Slideshow. You can shoot, sir.
Great. Okay, so for the next 10 to what's the hour? Maybe another like 5-10 minutes. I want to just run us through more like an icebreaker of what lies at the tip of my heart, where my passion is, which is around how do we help startups scale? How do we help small organizations scale? When organizations don't scale, or entrepreneurs don't scale, they're referred to as necessity entrepreneurs. These are entrepreneurs who, to a large extent, exist, are operating just for survival. But for you to have impact, you need to move beyond survival. You need to be able to create significant impact in where you find yourself. And that, again, is where the heart of all I do sits, is to see small businesses, yes, starting up as entrepreneur, necessary entrepreneurs. Oh, it's about how do I feed? Oh, I've lost my job, I'm starting something. Oh, there's a fad, and I want to put this together. How do you move from that to becoming a structured organization where you're creating shared wealth and prosperity for 50, 100, 200 people and all that? That's how organizations need to move, and that's what we call scaling. Okay, and that's what I want to share, like in the next 5-10 minutes, a few of the things that I see, and then I'll take questions. Like I said, again, it's very much freestyle, and so I'll look forward to us talking. And we look at the statistics again, to a large extent, it's very African focused, and I'm looking more at the Nigerian space. Okay, you find that when you look at it, only 2% of our startups really get to scale. Okay, just 2% of our startups get to scale. And I was checking something on Smeden, and it was saying that you will find that we have high proliferation, over 40 million SMEs and startups that exist. But again, about 97% of them, from their statistics, not mine, are necessity entrepreneurs. So there are many of them are very micro, some of them are very small, which is SME, but very few of them move from becoming nano and micro and small to becoming medium-sized SMEs. So that's MSMEs, okay? So when you talk about MSMEs, or you talk about startups that are scaling, or you call them scale-ups, those are the ones that have transited that vacuum to move away from survival, to move away from, living paycheck to paycheck, to being able to create impact and then be able to grow. And I think that's when we'll begin to see what is called poverty moderation effect. So people ask themselves, we're creating so many ventures, we're creating so many startups, but poverty seems to be rising. It's counterintuitive. You go anywhere else in the world, okay? The more entrepreneurs you have, the more businesses that are created, prosperity is created, employment is created, jobs are created. It's counterintuitive in this part of the world. And it's counterintuitive because many of our startups and entrepreneurs and SMEs have not been able to scale for 10, 12, 15 years. There's still 2 people, 3 people. It's still a survival thing. It's still a briefcase business. We call it biodegradable businesses. It's still a business scale business. Briefcase business is only one paycheck or one bad transaction from failing. Many of them get wiped out during tough and difficult times like we've seen in 2023, and we will most likely see a significant part of 2024. Many of these businesses vanish. And that's why we see that despite the proliferation of startups and businesses, there's no poverty moderating effect. It's not lowering poverty, it's not creating jobs, it's not even creating the right kind of jobs, okay? So when you have startups or scale-ups or MSMEs that really grow, they create quality jobs, okay? The right kind of jobs, offering the right kind of pay and support to people, not the nano kind of jobs and creating people who are living at the minimum wage. And that's what this conversation is about, okay? And the statistics are staggering. It means that we need to do something about it, okay? And so I want to just use 2 minutes to say, you have a startup today, you run an SME today. What are the 4 things I see? And in the workshop, I'll take us through this, and then we'll run through a planning session. I've done this for maybe 15 years thereabout. How are you able to take a company from 0 to something like that, from a 40 million to a 4 billion? What do you do differently? Okay. And that's the conversation. And this is not wishful thinking. This is not what we've read in a motivational book. This is the real reality of the everyday reality in the trenches. How do you move? How do you scale? And so as we move into a very uncertain year, there are a few things I think we need to have at the back of our mind. This is like a reminder of the things we've talked about all year round. But it's more important as you go into next year than ever before, as we will, to a large extent, really tank. I think we've not tanked yet. Some other countries, the US, I think the UK is tanked. They've tanked, and what you're likely going to see is you begin to see a resurgence. We do not think that the Nigerian environment has tanked yet, okay? Which tank means we're not there yet. We're not at the bottom yet. It's not at the worst scenario yet, okay? All economic forecasting shows that we still have some way to go. FX maybe is not yet there. Price of fuel, maybe this is not where we're supposed to be. Not me, okay? This is forecast from people. Again, don't bother yourself about that. How can I stay resilient? Those are the conversations. The first thing is you really need to understand the market. I think quite a number of people live in Nigeria, but they plan for the US or UK or Kenya or something. What's the reality of my market? And it's not about faithing it, or it's the reality. What do I forecast fuel is likely to be next year, okay? What do I forecast that data is going to be selling for next year, which is internet? Again, why are you talking about, why are you talking about maybe FX? It's because for your infrastructure, if you're a startup that you need to build, you need to host, your apps, software, and all, you need to build environment for you pay all that in dollars. All your plugins and all your APIs, you pay for them in dollars. Even your domain, who paid in dollars. So you have significant impact on you, and because I don't want to think, I don't import anything, or we're a very consumption dependent country, and so that direction affects you, and it's going to have significant impact on the OPEX of most startups and businesses, and many people are going to have it quite challenging. The other thing is around the cost of living. I mean, whether you're using, we still don't have power, whether you're using diesel or you're using PMS. The question is PMS at where it's supposed to be? How does that affect my overhead cost and all that? You will have to deal with a lot of wages, okay? We expect that the wages of civil servants should go up. It will create pressure on the wages of private sector people, startup and all that. So the cost of talent is likely definitely going to go up. Coupled with the fact that you have high level of migration. So are you planning for that? Do you understand the market? And like someone once said, it's not just the fact that there's a gap in the market. Is there a market in the gap? I did see one analyst sometime where someone was talking about the real addressable market, the real market size of the Nigerian environment. When he says only, as 3 million people there above your 200 million number we like to brandish, only 3 million is able to afford to spend $10 a day. $10 today sits around maybe 10K or thereabout, I assume. So again, question is, oh, I want to do this fantastic thing. I remember a young man that went through our incubation and was very heavy on NFT, okay? And I struggled around the NFT and the metaverse conversation, and he hunted me down the whole of 2022. He was not happy. He thought I was not bullish. He did not understand why we're not giving him that seed fund of $50,000 and why everybody just believes in NFT, but I just couldn't see it. But I said, yes, the challenge I have is what is the size of this market? I'm not sure that this market is sizable and right enough for you to build a scalable business model. And if it's not scalable, our money is not going to be there. Okay, we did meet in AOT sometime a couple of weeks ago, and I found out he had pivoted. Okay, he's moved away from metaverse and NFT and all those things. So the question is, do you really understand your market? Or are you just building for wishful thinking and all that? The next thing is about agile development and iteration. I'm of the opinion that startups will struggle with raising quite a number of funds next year. The only thing they're likely going to see is stating the obvious, that in 2022 will be worse in 2024, in my opinion. What most people are going to see is a lot of debts. I mean, there'll be debt investments, which means we'll give you these and it's a debt. You are not going to see a lot of maybe grants and equity investments. With debt, it means that you're likely to pay back. In paying back, it means you need to stay very profitable. It means you need to look for a way to be on the path of profitability. The time of using investors' funds to fund lifestyle might be, coming to an end. So you need to develop a beautiful way to really ensure you are able to iterate in a very agile way. You need to be conscious of the fact that your burn rate and your fume state are two indices that you need to keep strongly on your dashboard. What's my burn rate? How long does it take me? This amount of money I've raised, how long does it take me to finish? That I get to a fuel state? You need to understand how many weeks or how many months. How can I lengthen my runway? How can I? If it's supposed to take us 3 months, can we see how we can build for the next 9 months? And that's about being agile, being flexible. We need to come away from the celebrity mindset of founders and know that founders' job is to roll up your sleeves like I have done mine today and really iterate and build that version and do that new type and hire those devs and make sure you're doing a lot of market testing in a very cost-effective way. Do the loop, launch, get feedback, come back, reiterate in a very cost-effective way. You can't afford to be wasteful. You can't afford it. Again, it's me reiterating some of the things we're aware of. The next thing is validate your business model. Innovation and business model are two critical things that you need to understand how it works. Your business model is what guarantees your leadership in the future. It guarantees how I make money. And that's why when my colleagues, when we walk through ventures together and they do a presentation, my final slide before the OKR is always around the business, the verticals, the revenue verticals. I want to see, how do you want to make the money? I mean, it can be red or green, which means I'm not likely to make money this year, but this is one of the verticals in which I'm likely to make money. Where's the money? When do you begin to make revenue? When do you begin to onboard your first paying customer? Those are critical things as you determine your business model, okay? And you need to be flexible and have a dynamic capability, which is basically around should NFT and metaverse tank. You must have the ability to pivot with minimal risk and not being scarred significantly. You have to. You need to bring in a lot of flexibility into what you're doing. And while you're at this, you're already thinking, what are the other alternatives or verticals for which I can move? Those are critical strategies for surviving in a high uncertainty times, like we will see in 2024, where resource scarcity will be pervasive. And you need to weather the storm. Okay? So those are critical things I think to share. And one thing, I mean, and just 2 slides and we're done, is also make sure you're understanding your market. I see quite a number of people come, we have conversations, and I found that they do not understand the structure of their industry. Some industries are just not high volume in terms of cash flow industry. Are you aware? What's the market structure of that industry? What's the market structure? I mean, we recently did an acquisition around an agency banking, and it was quite interesting. First thing I do is we run through what's the structural analysis of the industry. And when I looked at it, the first thing I asked is, how do these guys get to live in such an ostentatious way if this is how they make the profit? The margins are extremely thin. Why do you keep such bogus talents on your payroll? Are you building for valuation or building for profitability? You need to be sure. So again, I think a lot of people do not understand the structure of the industry. What are my margins? At the peak of it, how much am I able to make? If you're making 5-7 million at your net profit, if that's what it does at the peak of it, why are you having a payroll sheet of 25-27 million naira monthly? How are you going to survive that? You're already in a deficit. You are the Nigerian problem in a smaller scale, spending what you don't have. So again, you need to evaluate and really understand your industry. How does the regulatory environment looks like? What's technology thing? I know you said Bitcoin is, I mean, the central bank has taken away the restriction. I'm sure everybody wants to go and start building a Bitcoin platform. The question is, if our people are even struggling to, do basic transactions and fintechs are closing shop, how big is that sector going to be? Because I've seen quite a number of people sending me WhatsApp, oh, what do you think? And I'm like, hey guys, I mean, this is not the US. Can we just, what's the size? What's the size of it? What's the structure? What's the margin? Everybody's in remittance. What's the margin around that? So you need to understand all these. What's the threat of substitute? Can you be wiped out? What can happen at the global or the local scale? If WhatsApp becomes a payment platform, what happens to you? Those are the kind of conversations you need to have as you look at your industry, okay? And let me quickly just wrap this up, okay? Because we don't have the time, but I hope I can have time to share this with us on the 14th, because I will be starting with this slide where I do a deep down and I drew quite a number of case studies to look at different sectors, and then you ask yourself, am I even in the right business? Do I understand it? What are the upsides of this industry where I play? Is it worth my while? Do I have a sizable market if I want to stay in Nigeria? Or again, do you want to go to Ghana? I did have some conversation with some young folks yesterday afternoon, and we're talking, and I said, I'm yet to see significant amount of startups, and I'm not talking fintechs. Okay, fintechs, yes, have done significant scale. That's the most skilled sector of our economy, or of the startup space, who are having presence in 6 to 7 states in this country. Before they're saying they're jumping to Sierra Leone or Ghana or whatever. The question is, the GDP of Kano and Kaduna put together is bigger than most of the West African countries. Let's not talk about Nigeria, Lagos, for example. Take it out of the mix. Kano, Kaduna put together, the GDP is bigger than most of the West African countries where we show up there. Question is, have you mastered that? Have you built resilience to be able to do that? Let's come to this, and then I can round up and take questions. What do you need to do in a time like this that is very uncertain? You must have the capability to reinvent success, because for most businesses, you need that resilience to be built in, which means you're creating so much verticals as you pick that allows you to leverage and pivot in new directions where there's high opportunity for growth. And that will be quite significant for many of the businesses. When you experience a very turbulent time like we have experienced, and the truth is, for people who are quite sincere and very introspective, it's never been the same world as after COVID. COVID turned things upside down. That's the reality. Most economies have not recovered. Most sectors are struggling what has hit them. And it's never been this prolonged. So we're going to year 5 of the COVID year. COVID started in February 2020. Okay, we're about to get to January 2024. 5 straight years, we're still reeling from the effect of COVID. And people have compounded it with wars in Europe and also wars in the Middle East and freighting, and you can't go to Red Sea, and it's all manners of craze put together, okay? So question is, you must build an agility that allows you, as you plateau in a place, to be able to reinvent. There's no point flogging a dead horse. If the horse is dead, you need to reinvent success, okay? And those are my, I don't have the time, very initial thoughts to quickly throw out to say, we need to think differently as we look at the world, and what we're set to pass through in the next 12 months, especially I'm talking very much about Nigeria. The world has its own issues, but I think for you operating in here, and for many people who are diaspora people, I have quite a number of friends and colleagues, and we're talking, who are diaspora people, but your target market is the Nigerian market, which again happens to quite a number of my friends who run startups in diaspora. You're trying to do remittances, you're trying to do all sorts. You need to understand the nuance of this local market. If this market contributes up to 25% of your forecasted revenue, you should understand what are the nuances, what's the addressable market, what are the opportunities, what are the challenges, what will it look like in the next 12 months around this place, and make sure you are building resilience into your business. I wanted that as an icebreaker, just to put us in the conversational mood. I just don't want us to start by asking questions and then you're wondering how that came up. But I wanted to put out in the conversational mood by just running those few slides and sharing my thoughts from what I see, and then throw it open. It's up into the hour. Throw it open and say, feel free to shoot. Ask any question under the sun that relates to business. I'm not a politician, don't discuss political issues. But anything that has to do with startups, great businesses, concerns, what the landscape looks like, forecasting and all that, feel free and let's take the questions, okay? And I know we're streaming across different platforms. Just drop it in there. My colleagues are looking at all the platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I know very few people, except in the community, very few people are on Zoom with me right now. Again, it's of control. So just drop your questions in any of the chat room. My colleagues, Bola Tito will take the lead, and then she will either drop the questions by unmuting herself to read out the question, or she'll drop the question and then we can take it up from there. Thank you for the time, and let's have fun. Let's roll the dice, Bola Tito. Any question? Bolato, are you there, or have I lost? Just to be sure, everybody's still here.
Okay, I'm with you, sir.
Good. So check around. Do we have any questions in the chat room?
Yes, we do, sir. We do. So I have someone asking, how can startup entrepreneurs join EIC? That's a question for you.
Okay. I think joining EIC is one of the easiest things you can do. First is there's a virtual EIC and the physical EIC. The virtual EIC, we have the link in there. Join our WhatsApp chat, our WhatsApp or Telegram page. You can be a part of that. If you have a startup and you want to incubate, or you're already a growing startup, you've been around for 2-3 years, you're making revenue, but you want to accelerate, then you can send us a mail. I think Bola Tito can drop the contact mail in there. Info at AIC, and then you can send us a mail. We will definitely get back to you, and then we can take it off from there. Does that help? Good. So send a mail to info@ecoinnovationhub.com. Introduce yourself, what you do. We will engage you, find out whether you're an incubator, accelerator, and then see how we can be of support to you. Good. Any other question?
Okay. How do you recommend staying abreast of market trends and changes during uncertain times?
Okay. Media and entertainment has ended in fear of not getting funding. I am talking about Nollywood. What's the way forward? I think you missed one. Can I take that? Let me go. I just want to make sure we don't miss anybody in here. So it says, this is from Efyong Akpan. Media and entertainment space has earned the notoriety of not getting funding. I'm talking about Nollywood. What's the way forward? Okay. Funding is about validation of your business model canvas, your business model rather. It's about validation. And what I've seen quite a number of times, and I'll talk about why is the fintech sector accounting for about 50% of all funds that are being raised? Okay. Why is the fintech sector? It's because once people are able to validate your numbers independently, and people are able to validate your business model, it gives comfort to people to put their funds because they see a clear model of how the funds will come in. I've had conversations around people in the creative economy, and I'm talking here music label people, artists coming up, people doing arts and crafts, people doing film production. Before now, they dealt with a lot of piracy, so you were not sure if you put 100 million behind an investment, you're not sure how your money was going to come out, okay? But now, with quite a number of platforms, it's becoming easier for you to take through a proper business model plan where you can show people your revenue verticals, and then you can see quite a number of investments. People are getting some investment in media and entertainment when you are properly structured. I'm aware some labels have been invested in, some have been bought outrightly. Some streaming platforms are doing specific countries. There's a battle of streaming platforms right now, but you need to structure your business. You need to de-risk it. It can't just be about you. It can't be a one-man risk and then you walk in and say, oh, I have this lovely movie, I'm trying to raise money from it. There are a lot of ways and structure that people need to be sure. How are you sure? How are you going to air it? What are the structures you have for distribution? Because one of the major challenges that you have in that, and that's why I talked about understanding the structure of the industry. The major problem you have is having the right distribution structures that are cost-effective, that are transparent, and that guarantees the returns of investors. We do not have so many of those distribution infrastructures in this country. We don't have so many of them. So until you see so many of them, investors will be wary, because the first thing they ask is, if I put this investment on, how do I get my money back? How am I sure this comes back X3, X5, X10, or whatever they're thinking about? So what is my answer to that? We need a lot more technology-led distribution platforms. If you do not have a lot of technology-led distribution platforms and you're still depending on YouTube and all the rest, you will not see the kind of funding you have. So basically, that's what that is. And I do hope I've shed more light. And if you're not confident, shoot me an email and I can fix a session and then we can talk through it. How do you recommend staying abreast of market trends and changes during uncertain times? Google is your friend. And I mean, that's a joke, but again, you need it. And that's why I think it's important that we come and, but maybe you should, let me just stop sharing and you can just put up that, let me stop sharing and then you can put up from your own end the flyer for the event. Okay, so it's critical for you to understand where your world is going to, and just feel free at times to Google. I do that every year religiously, and I've done it for the last 10 years. But so you can have the flyer for the January 13th event up. One of the things people need to understand is you should never start planning without understanding what's happening in the world around you. Two things you can do is just Google it. Navigating the future, for example, the 10 global trends that will define 2024. 10. I think I even have it open in here. Okay, I can check it for you. 10 things that will shape the world. And then you can even look at 10 things that will shape technology world. And you can at 10 things that will shape the Nigerian ecosystem. If you do not start from them, that's why that planning session where you need to scan your environment and scan your industry before you build your plan is critical for you. Okay. And one of the 10 things that is forecasted to shape 2024, and this is not from me, this is gathered from global people, from Forbes, from the economists and all that, there'll be the rise of intelligent machines. AI, generative AI will shape the world. You don't have to like it. Like somebody saying that social media will define Nigeria. Social media has killed some industries, has brought us some industries. We didn't have social media managers before. Now it's, I mean, the big set of people who are social media managers today and are earning. Content developers. He's made celebrities. He's made influencers become celebrities. Before we had celebrities that were influencers. Now we have influencers that become celebrities. That's the world of social media. We've seen quite enough. So it's like, that's the same thing we're going to be experiencing with the world of AI, intelligent machines, generative AI. It will define every industry all over again. Some jobs will be lost. New jobs will be created. That's one of the biggest things. The other thing they talked about is climate change. And you can Google this thing. The things are there. It's not proprietary to me. I mean, it's just that you need to do your work. There are quite a number of 10 things that will shape turbulent times for economies. When I come and I say, hey, most startups will struggle raising funds and all that, I'm not saying it because there's a crystal ball. It's because you look around the global environment and what's happening, and you can forecast and deduce and say, if there'll still be economic turmoil in the UK and the US with their elections and all that, it means many of them are not going to be throwing money into emerging markets where we're going to have a 2 or 3% growth. So clearly, most people will not be able to raise funds, and we've experienced this since 2022. All you have to do is go check these conversations. Evolution of work. We will still continue to see the growth. We'll be able to see the growth of the remote work and the gig workers. A lot of people want people in the office, but trust me, it's not going to happen forever. We're not back to the pre-pandemic times. You will still see quite a lot of virtual work happening. What's your plan? If you're somebody who invests in offices or you provide office support and all that, are you sure you don't need to pivot? The generation gap. I was talking to someone about a brand that people just refuse to buy the brand because they assume they see people in their father's generation drink the brand. Who are you appealing to? Who are the guys spending now? The millennials and Gen Zs who will have the money for the foreseeable future. How are you talking to them? It will be there. Urbanization will drive convenience. E-mobility will be big as everybody runs away from the villages. When I started working 20 years ago, 65% of our people were in the villages. When we used to do economic planning in multinational, then 65 to 68% of people were in the remote areas, 32 to 35 were in the urban centers. It's the reverse. Now you have 65% of people in the urban centers. There's congestion. Rental income is going up. Quite a number of things are coming up. Question is, how do you plan your business? It will help e-mobility, to be convenience. You see a lot more dispatch and all that. It leads to quite a lot of that. So you'll find that for you to think about all these things, you need to go and do your work. What will shape 2024? But I found one quite instructive as I was working again. I mean, I have portfolios, so I need to also make sure I understand how they play in the industry. Rethinking education. Education, because there's a big challenge. Okay, so I'm not a millennial. I'm from Gen X, okay? And there's a big trouble for my Gen X guys and who are still in the working space. All of us need to get back to school because education has changed. The skill set we started work with 20 years ago, or even for millennials, what you learned in school are totally obsolete right now. We all need to go back. But guess what? We can't afford to leave what we're doing and go to school for 1 year, 2 years and all that. It gives right to the edutech platforms and new content around learning and all that. There are quite a number of things that should help you see where the big opportunities are so you're not flogging a dead horse. Migration and movement of the jackpot will continue. And as jackpot and migration happens, not only in Nigeria, but globally, as people seek better life, question is, how are you tapping the opportunity of that market? What does the diaspora income or community mean to you? So those are part of the things that you can find. And if you go to technology, for example, and go to the technology things that will happen in 2024, it tells you clearly, and again, this is not by me, it's everywhere. Generative AI will be big. Again, sustainable technology will be big. Cyber resilience, you see a lot of issues around cyber, of course. And I'm sure there'll be many Bitcoins and exchanges, and many people will claim they've been hacked and carry all our money and escape. You will see a lot of cyber things happening. How are you thinking? How are you preparing? How are you building resilience to your business? And how are you even seeing the opportunity in cybersecurity space in terms of career or company? So that's going to be big. Cyber resilience, quantum computing. Those are the things that are going to shape 2024. Okay, so again, these things are not rocket science. You need to spend time either in a workshop, like what we're planning to do on the 13th, or you need to go yourself and navigate through all the relevant platforms to put together information and have a strategy. Okay, someone says, how do we make the most of our... No, let me go back. But please help me when I start missing it so I can make sure I'm fair and take as many questions as I can. Hello, everyone. I didn't catch the Jan 13%. Okay. But do you want to help? Okay, so okay, let's move. I'm just looking for the questions. So I take as many of those questions. How do you, so I've answered, how do you recommend staying abreast of market trends and changes during uncertain times? You need to study and study, read and read, sit in workshop, sit in training sessions. Many people will be forecasting, read them, digest them, and see how it's applicable to your ecosystem. How do you make the most of relationships when running a non-profit organization that's intended to be profit-oriented, more like a social enterprise? Now I struggle. Today, most of my relationship. So today you are non-profit, but you want to pivot to become a profit organization. How do you intend to make the most of our relationships? So that question is not coming out clear to me. But again, should you need to pivot? Because I also forecast from the work I do that many non-for-profit will struggle as grants dry up globally. And you need to begin to think of a blended approach. A blended approach means That's like when you're registered as a GT, which means you can do some profits for profits activities, and I can do for some non-profit activities. That's good as a business model. You can't be able to pivot and get that done. But when you talk about relationship is not just about it's not about non-for-profit. It's for everybody in business. And that's why what drives now, and if any organization wants to survive, is for you to build communities. It's going to be more around communities. It's going to be more around relationships. That's what you're going to leverage. So do you have a community of people that patronize you? Have you been able to organize them together as a community? Have you been able to expand that? Are you able to serve them? Those are the kind of relationships we're going to talk about, and that you will need to be able to pass through that pivoting. But it's possible I didn't understand your question fully. I mean, you can just chat in the chat box and just create a bit more context. How do we make the most of our, okay, I've sent that. Concerning the addressable market in Nigeria being less than 3 million, is this verifiable? How does this affect B2B startups like renewable energy and marketing startups? Verifiable, okay. The question is, what's the average income of an average Nigerian? And this is there. I mean, we've seen a publication, I think it was TECHBIZ that published something, and the banks, and it's verifiable. And what they are saying is not that that's what people earn. They're not saying people earn $10 per day. They are only saying that's the amount of discretionary income, something I can spend on something that is not important to me. Just take 10K, that's what they're saying, which means you have a new product, a new, you want to try it. And I quite agree, because again, with high level of inflation, consumers are becoming more discerning. They are spending on what is real. Even people that are in HNI, remember, many of them also have FX exposures. So they either have FX loans, or they are building significant amount of structures, real estate in banana everywhere, and prices, there's a price overrun. So people's money to throw around has reduced. Basically, some of them have wards and kids who they were buying FX for the official rate at 430, who now need to buy dollars at 1,200 and something. They were flying business class tickets. They need to start flying economy. So it's real. That's the first thing, is the reality based on what we're going through. I mean, the cost of fuel, many of them won't drop their six cylinder engine cars, which they were using 20,000 naira or 30,000 a week, and now need to spend 100,000 a week. That's the reality, because fuel has moved from 167 to 600 and something. It's the reality. So what that does is that people are a bit more discretionary about how they spend. And so that's what we're talking about. How does it affect B2B startups like renewable energy? Renewable energy that is mentioned is one of the major areas where there's going to be huge opportunity going into 2024 and for the next 5 years. Because again, if you remember the mega trends I talked about, things around sustainability and climate change is taking an attention of the world. So if you are playing in renewable energy, you're on honeymoon, this is the best place to be. Circular economy, renewable energy, you understand it, you're good to go. It's big income business if you understand it. Trust me, there's huge amount of money on the table to be taken away from renewable energy. So whether it's a B2B startup or a B2C, playing in that space is a good place to play in 2024 and beyond. Marketing startups, it depends on which part of marketing. Marketing is huge. Are you doing consumer marketing? Are you doing B2B marketing? Are you doing an agency-led business? What exactly are you doing? Are you doing a digital marketing startup? Again, organizations will not have so much budget anymore, so you need to be more creative. Why? If they struggle to achieve sales, it is a fraction of their sales that they give to agencies to run their marketing campaigns. So you will feel the brunt. And it started since 2023. In fact, it started since after COVID. I do not think marketing spends are back to pre-pandemic levels. I've got quite a number of marketing firms, okay? They're not back to pre-pandemic levels, which means that companies are not spending as much as they used to spend as at the end of 2019. So will it impact? Yes. That's why you need to be creative. You need to be dynamic. You need to ensure you build resilience into it, and you really understand your industry to be able to know how to pivot. I hope that sure helps. But renewable, you are spot on point. That's an industry and an ecosystem you need to play in if you really want to scale in 2024. How can one scale an event management company in Nigeria? What trends should be on the lookout for? Well, again, an event management company, you need to be extremely creative. You need to be tech-led. What is the challenge with running an event management company? Your clients are spending less but asking for more. The only way to be able to spend less and ask for more is to leverage technology. The challenge is most events, marketing management companies have not seen how technology will play in their sector. And until you leverage technology, you will not get the correct kind of billing. What does technology do? It allows you to be able to reach a larger amount of people with less cost. So your cost to serve begins to come down. When your cost to serve comes down, your client is excited. But do you think you're going to get as much billing as you got in pre-pandemic levels? I honestly don't think you will. Okay. But can you do the same amount of billing? Yes. If you find new strategic ways that you can either leverage technologies or new concepts or new platforms that they can use. Clients to a large extent are not spending so much money building their platforms anymore. They are plugging into platforms. So how are you able to create platforms where you can now raise investment and funding to be able to help you grow that? That might be a new way. What communities are you able to build that clients are willing to pay you money or pay you advertising spend to have access to your community? That's the play for event companies. That's one of the things. And again, like I said, I want to make sure I'm touching every question. You can feel free to send me an email, book a Zoom, and then we can talk through it for 30, 40 minutes thereabout. Okay. How can we bring our business plan for your honest review? Join me on Saturday, 13th January 2024 between 10 and 2 p.m. Come with your business plan, everything we have. We'll do a workshop and walk through it. Okay. That's the easiest way to be able to walk you through it and make sure that your business plan is in sync with reality, that your business plan builds for you resilience, that your business plans has accommodated the headwinds that you're likely going to be experiencing in 2024, forgive me, okay? I shouldn't be going back 10 years behind them. The yesteryears are nice, but we need to go into New Year's. Good day, sir. Thanks for the inspiration session today. I know one of the greatest challenge of young entrepreneurs is mentorship. Aha, true. Having those who have been there holding your hands. My question is there a way we can access you for mentorship, seeing that you understand I've conquered them? Well. Saturday, the 13th of January, two things we will do is we're looking for very few amount of startups. And because in the last 15 years, what we've tried to do with what I've done, the Co-Innovation Center, is try and build businesses across several verticals that gives us the legitimacy to speak authoritatively across different industries. Okay. So the first formal in-person way we want to begin to democratize that is this session. But after that session, what happens is if we've helped you create a work plan or create a plan that is resilient, we will check in with you almost every other month, every quarter, to see what are the variances and how are you executing the plan, because you do quarterly OKRs and we will do a review with you. So mentorship and all that will be built into this. Again, what we need to do is democratize ability to mentor and coach people. We're not sure. Most of our people who can coach and mentor have gone to Canada and London and US. And so we don't have so many people who are holding the fort here anymore. So, but we will do the best we can. Today, we have seen how we can take 10 to 15 people and democratize how to plan and take them into a mentorship session where for the whole of the year, whatever we do in January, we will offer them support for the whole of the year on a quarterly basis, reviewing their plan, reassessing, fixing the gaps, looking at performance gaps, and things like that all through the year. So that's how we want to start in the scale. And then we can see how to really scale up the number of people that we can take through those sessions as the years go by. But we want to do a pilot scale of, just because it has to be a few amount of people that have 24/7 access. We can sit in their businesses, sit in their offices, help them open doors, create market sessions for them. That's what this is about, and be able to help them open the doors into places they should be. And we can't take in much more than we can chew. But again, thanks for the very honest feedback and compliment, but we will continue to see what we can do, how to support. Can I access a recording of this meeting thereafter? Absolutely, yes. My colleague is going to drop the link in the chat room. By 12 noon tomorrow, this recording will be online. All you have to do is go to www.ecoicenter.com/webinar. To register is /workshop. To see this webinar is /webinar. And you will find this is the 105th episode of TechBiz. You'll find it there. So this will be available from 12 noon tomorrow. Okay. Hello, sir. Skybed Nigeria Meter enables a unified environment, collaboration, and partnership across diverse teams from community level to professional upstream. Our members are from all backgrounds, covering all walks of life. We do coding, short films, and talent management. We are not making money yet, invested in data, tools, and tech equipment, hopefully to generate funds when we launch. What industry do I belong to? Creative industry. You're in the creative economy. Okay. because if I see the key things you throw out there, you talk about short films, you talk about talent, which is about content. We do coding. You need to code your platform for distribution, okay? Guys, technology and coding is a commodity. Every industry needs technology. Every industry needs to code, minimal amount of code to have the technology or the platform to distribute or for people to download. I mean, it took some amount of coding for my team to create a platform for you to register. The landing page that you need to register for was created by my tech team behind. I don't know how to do that, okay? So let's not over theorize and over celebrate this coding thing. You need them from basic to high level. Right? You're not building a blockchain exchange. So coding is generic. Is like saying I do sales and marketing. You need to sell whatever you have. But what I see majorly is that you do short films and talent management, and then you'll be in the creative economy where you sit in arts and all that, and you need to understand an industry and what the nuances are. I hope I've helped. I need an email to get to you one-on-one. They've dropped one to you, info@ecoinnovationhub.com. Shoot an email. I'm sure I will get it and I can revert back. I want to really understand how to harvest my experience and talent across facets of media and entertainment and start up for seamless brokering. Great, my things will do that. There has been a bit of startup failure in the past 1 year. Yes, we will see more in 2024. And with the wars in Russia, Israel, VC are investing as much. What can founders do to scale this coming year with this funding freeze? Focus on operational profitability. We've got 4 minutes to go. Focus on operational profitability. Do not be focused on trying to build your business model on an investor coming to save you. How can you begin to make money in the nearest possible time? You will get confidence of people who will give you, because I said it earlier on, what we're going to see a lot of in 2024 will be more debts than equity investments. You will see more debts. So investors will come to you and say, hey, guess what? We will give you some funds, but we might give you a moratorium of a year, but we're giving you these funds at this rate, 9%, 11, 12%. You will see quite a number of debts. You are not likely going to see a lot of equities because people are not very sure of the global economy and its stability. And with the demise of a number of startups, it has sent shivers into the ecosystem of angels and private equity and VC. So all that has its own impact, and I do think that you need to begin to see the investment part, your revenue pathway. You need to look at revenue and income pathway. Okay. Good. I'm not in Lagos right now. Can the session be aired online? I do apologize. This first session has to, because it's a workshop, okay? And you can't do workshop the way we want to do it in a virtual manner. It's strictly a physical event for very few people, because we need to handle them. They need to work. They will do a presentation. We'll give them feedback. We'll work with them. It's a workshop, okay? So it's not a session. It's not training. It's not webinar. It's not teaching. It's not motivation. It's a workshop. They're working through their plans, and everybody's coming with their business, your own company's materials, your own company's plans, your own company's ambition, your revenues and all that. You bring everything together and then you workshop it and have a final plan. I do apologize. You can't do that virtually. Can we bring our business plan for your honest review? Yes, on 13 for 14. Again, strategy session. Are there opportunities in healthcare? Definitely. Healthcare. So there are key sectors which we call the soft infrastructure sectors. That's where the biggest opportunity exists in the emerging market. Soft infrastructure sectors, soft infrastructure structures, education, healthcare, power, more renewable energy. Things like that are where you will see the biggest amount of opportunity. Soft infrastructure are getting more funding. Soft infrastructure are going to be a lot more resilient, because no matter how the economy goes, soft infrastructure companies will, to a large extent, become a bit more resilient. Okay. I have an email. Get to one-on-one, please. I think it's there. Please send an email to, open this thing. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the knowledge shared. Can someone interested in fashion technology join the workshop? Everybody can join the workshop. It's your plan. It's what we're doing basically is that you're coming with all the rudiments, all the ingredients of what you have, and we're helping you work with you rather, to create a resilient plan that makes sure that you've thought through what the next 12 months will look like, and you built a plan that can increase your chances of succeeding and of being able to weather the headwinds. That's what this is about, okay? So it's not we coming to be prescriptive. We don't prescribe in here. It's remember, we're an incubator and accelerator. We handhold people. We help people scale. So it's not we coming to tell you what to do. We're not casting lots, and we're not looking at a magic mirror. It's we working together with you, using the years of experience that we've had working with quite a number of startups to help you see how to navigate and build a resilient plan. That's what this is about. Okay. Are there any other questions? We're on the hour, and I will take just one more question before we go for today. And thanks for everyone that's participated and I've been a part of these. Again, feel free to shoot me an email. I honestly promise, tomorrow is holiday, so I honestly promise that between now and the 2nd of January, I will try to respond back to you by mail. Should you have questions or clarifications, feel free to attention me directly, and I'll see what can happen. So we're dot on the hour. Is there any other question? If there's none at the moment, Bola Tito, are we good? And looking forward to AOT 6.0. Thank you very much. And thanks to everyone that was part of AOT 5.0. You guys made it a great outing. We're quite appreciative. You guys did magic. You did magic turning up. And let me just give you a peep into AOT 6.0. We're talking about deep tech in AOT 6.0. We're talking about the world of intelligent machines, AI, blockchain, and how it's going to be disrupting our world. That is AOT 6.0 for you. It's Lagos and the emergence of deep technology. That's what AOT 6.0 will be like. And so I think it's going to be an exciting one. Let's keep warming up for it. It's going to be in Landmark, today event, and I'm sure we'll grace the platform within another set of prolific speaker from in and outside the country. But thanks for making AOT 5.0 what it was. On that note, with a lot of respect for your time and for you taking out the time to be a part of this, I want to thank you for being a part of the final TechBiz for the year 2023 as the draw the curtains. I'm very excited as we peep into 2024 because I believe together we can be able to navigate the headwinds. Together we can build a community that can create resilient organizations that can scale, organizations that can, to a large extent, weather the storms and be able to create impact, organizations that can be able to create meaningful jobs and begin to finally address poverty and inequality and unemployment in our country. I look forward to standing shoulder by shoulder with every one of us and being able to do that in the next 12 months that lies ahead of us in the year 2024. Thank you for keeping the day with us. My name remains Victor Benga-Folabi. I'm the founder of Eco Innovation Center, an incubator and acceleration hub located here in Lagos, 50 Awolowo Road. It's a pleasure to have hosted every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you in 2024. Do take care of yourselves and your families, and I wish you all the best in the coming months ahead. Thank you. Have a great evening, everybody.